Pakistan remains gripped by flood fury. Large swathes of the country are still submerged underwater, and the losses are mounting by the hour. According to Pakistan's own estimates, the country will need $10 billion to recover. 10 billion. Now, this has sent Pakistani leaders into overdrive. They're making a show of raising money on TV and fighting over who can generate more money. Here's a report.
Excellencies, dear friends, Pakistan is awash in suffering. The Pakistani people are facing a monsoon on steroids, the relentless impact of epochal levels of rain and flooding. The climate catastrophe has killed more than 1,000 people, with many more injured. Millions are homeless, schools and health facilities have been destroyed, livelihoods are shattered, critical infrastructure wiped out, and people's hopes and dreams have washed away.
This was the United Nations Secretary General urging world leaders to help Pakistan, a country in the grip of a climate catastrophe, an unprecedented deluge which has submerged a third of Pakistan. These satellite images tell you the story. What were once lush fields now resemble inland lakes. What were once bustling market lanes now resemble cascading rivers. And what were once homes now resemble islets with no easy access. This is the current state of Pakistan. It's flooded to a point of no return. There's barely any dry land one can find. The country's foreign minister says it's a life-defining experience.
For us, this is no less than a national emergency. For the most vulnerable, especially the women and children impacted by this disaster, this is a life-defining experience.
But for most flood victims, it's more like a life-threatening experience. They've lost their homes, their belongings, even their kin. Now crammed up in shelters with little food and water.
स्कूल में कुछ भी सहूलत नहीं है। इस स्कूल में आ तो गए हैं लेकिन खाने पीने का कोई सहूलत नहीं है। इस स्कूल के आने से खाने पीने से हमारे को जहर दो मर जाएं वही अच्छा है। छोटे छोटे बच्चे यहाँ पे जलील हैं मच्छरों पे और बहुत गंदगी है इधर। नहीं तो स्वीपर है स्कूल में नहीं कुछ। इतना हम बेजार हो गए हैं अपने घरों में। उससे बेहतर था पानी में डूब के मर जाते वही अच्छा था।
Makeshift camps like these have sprung up. But the people here say they would much rather leave than be ridiculed by the kind of aid they're being given.
ये परेशानी की ज़िंदगी है। हम ये रसवा हो रहे हैं। हमारे जो औरतें जो है वो भी परेशानी में है। उसकी भी बेइज्जती हो रही है। हम जो भी जल्दी हो कि हम अपने घरों को मुंतकिल हो जाए इधर परेशानी।
The floods have hit more than 33 million Pakistanis. That's over 15% of the country's population. The death toll has risen to 1,162. The number of injured to 1,600. 325,000 houses have perished completely. 733,000 houses have been severely damaged. 2 million acres of crop has been destroyed. 735,000 livestock has been lost. 150 bridges have washed away, and 3,500 kilometers of roads have been damaged. Put together, the floods have cost Pakistan an estimated $10 billion. For the record, that's just $3 billion less than what's left in Pakistan's foreign reserves. So how is Pakistan going to rebuild? Where will it get the money? The United Nations has made an appeal on behalf of Islamabad. It has asked the world for $160 million in emergency funding.
With the government of Pakistan, the United Nations is today launching a $160 million plan to respond to the devastating floods in Pakistan, the worst in decades.
The Pakistani Prime Minister is moved by the gesture. He has pledged transparency for every single penny.
This is only going to provide $160 million.
It's triggering others.
Yeah.
Already.
So I think this needs to be multiplied rapidly. And I want to give one solemn pledge and solemn commitment at my command that every penny will be spent in a very transparent fashion. Every penny will reach the needy. There will be no waste at all.
The former Prime Minister is chipping in too. Imran Khan Niazi. His party, the PTI, is holding telethons to collect funds for flood victims.
एक बहुत बड़ा इम्तिहान है पाकिस्तान के लिए. सारा मुल्क मुतासिर है. गिलगित बल्तिस्तान से लेके चित्राल से लेके स्वात से लेके फिर DI खान, फिर DG खान, फिर सिंध, बलूचिस्तान, सिंध सबसे ज़्यादा मुतासिर है. तो हमने ये फैसला किया कि सारी कौम को हम इसमें शामिल करें.
It's worth mentioning here that the same PTI is facing charges of trying to derail Pakistan's IMF program. What's more, just 4 days back, when the crisis had just begun, Imran Khan had refused to collect funds, citing lack of transparency on the government's part. Now, collecting money has become a show of strength. Who can generate more? As Pakistanis suffer, their leaders remain caught in petty politics.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.